Hello, I'm Sean Bishop, Director of Bishop Instruments and Bows here in London, and this is my What's New in December. We didn't quite do November or October, I think, I have not been around that much, but I'm back in the game and I'm going to ramble on about a few things that I've got and let you in on what's new. I have a quick sip, my coffee that my assistant made, thank you Martin. Very nice it is too. Right, violins. I've got 3 violins here. Actually, I'll get one more. Could you get the Marelo Villa? Let's start from the top and work our way down price-wise. First up, Paris Master, JeanBaptiste Violon. I'm not going to show this violin too much because the owner didn't want me to overly publicise that I'm selling it or he's selling it or whatever. So I've got a beautiful Violon here. And it's made in the 1850s, Stradivari copy, and it sounds amazing. You know, think of all those makers that worked for Vuillaume, and when they left, they could never do what he did. And in reality, that is the mark of genius. It's like Stradivari. When he died, his sons never reached what Dad could do. Vuillaume is, without a doubt, exactly that same genius level of violin making, no doubt about it. Particularly if he made so many instruments, and this is just a testament. I'll give it a quick play while I'm here, and we can, so you can have a listen. Oh, I should have tuned it up, I guess. Definitely a ramble today, isn't it? My talking. Right, quickly. That is a great violin, I'll tell you. Any soloist could play on that quite easily. There we go. Next one down, we have Vincenzo Postiglione, one of the great Naples masters. 1906, this was made really as one of his last instruments, I would say, that from that period. His assistant, Alfredo Contino, took over from the workshop. And so you see a lot of his work in the later violins, but I don't see any in this. And this has all the hallmarks of Postiglione. Haven't set it up. We're going to get this set up better in my shop. It's also featured in Dimitri Ginden's Encyclopedia of Modern Italian Violin Makers, which is over there. The Modern Italian Violin Makers, Volume 1 and 2, which is a great read, I might add. If you've got a bit of dosh, they're not cheap, worth buying. Dimitri writes really well. It's a good read. And I really enjoy reading them and re-looking at them, and luckily I've got a few instruments that are in the books, and this is in one of them. So 1906, I'll give it a play. It will sound better when we've fixed it. I mean, the thing about Postiglione, he was probably the last of the true great Naples makers. You could say there's Vincenzo Sannino after him, but Sannino was a different maker in a way. He became more Rome-based. He could do everything, whereas in terms of Stradivari copies, Guarneri copies, Guad copies, Postiglione stuck with the Naples mold, and that's what I like about him. He's your margherita pizza. He's not a deep pan, okay? Right, there we go. Next violin. This is an interesting violin. This is a Bisiach, Leandro Bisiach, but it's not. The top is old Milanese work. I was sort of thinking it was Gaetano Antoniazzi or something Cerruti Antoniazzi. It's signed inside as Joseph Cerruti, Giuseppe Cerruti, and it was sold by the Bisiach brothers, the 1960s brothers, as Giuseppe Cerruti with the original label. However, the top is old work, late 19th century, no doubt. The rest of the violin is all Bisiach workshop 1920, 1930. So says Eric Blow. Actually, I also showed this to Dimitri Ginden, and he was intrigued about it as well, and a few different ideas. But basically, it's a really nice violin that looks great, looks old, and of course, it's not as expensive as a Giuseppe Cerruti. Right, here we go. next week. I've got to learn a new piece on the violin. It's just getting a bit ridiculous. Right, so that's Leandro Bisiach. A violin I sold, well, we can tell when I sold this, 2012. I sold this in 2012. This is Marelo Villa of Cremona, the well-known Cremonese violin maker, the author of the books on Capacchioni. And this is a violin I sold of his at one of the many exhibitions I had in my old shop. And this was the 2012 exhibition. And the person has upgraded with me, so I've taken the violin back at 100% trade up. How about that? But what I like about this violin is the back. If you get to go to my website and have a look at the back, you will just see the most glorious piece of wood. And it's just such a beauty, it's absolutely stunning. So let's give that a play. Sounds good too, nice and powerful. Right, so that's 4 violins. Forget about violas this month. Quick talk about the bow. Again, I sold this bow 10 years ago. It's back now, part exchange. This is Pascal Nehr from Marseille, one of the great makers, one of the great living makers of France. He trained under Bernard Huchard in the Mircourt system in the 1970s. So he was one of the last people. They took 3 people each year, Bernard Huchard did. And that included Thomas Shaw, Didier Claudel, Benoit Roland, who else there? Martin Develere, Eric Ronchon, quite all those great makers that we all know. They were taught by Bernard Huchard. Pascal Nehr is a real artist, I think. He's only making 10 or so bows a year, which is not many. And this is nice, it's got 2 double rings here of mother of pearl, which makes it quite appealing. Francois Xavier Tourt model, the head is definitely FXT, but a funky frog that I just love. And his bows are very sought after. I've got quite a few in my personal collection. Right, moving on to the next batch of bows. I don't know if you can see down here, but I've got 5 bows here. I've got more elsewhere. I've got 8 bows from Paul Sadka. So Paul Sadka is a good friend of mine. He's a triple gold medal winner at the Violin Society of America bow making competition. I think he won the 3 golds in 2010 or 2011, something like that. And actually I did have the viola bow, I think, from that, and I sold it to the Royal Academy of Music, which I bitterly regret now. I would like to have snaffled that up for my own collection. But I've got some great bows here. Let's have a quick look at just one beautiful gold mounted violin bow by Paul. And he started doing things a little bit differently. He's doing a full ebony frog now, blind frog as we call them. And you'll notice that the slide on top is also ebony. You can't really see there, so it looks like one piece of fused ebony, but actually that slides out. And he's using a carbon graphite coulisse, I think that's how to pronounce it. Rather than having the silver slide or the gold slide or wood on wood, he's put a very thin piece of carbon graphite between the frog and the stick. He told me it was half the width of a piece of paper. And it is a stunning bow. Wow, I'm just loving Paul's work. I mean, I've been buying his bows, as I've said, probably for over 15 years now. Sold so many, I can't think of, must be 50, 60, 70, I don't know, something like that. But they are great, and his wood is just first class. He bought the wood from a deceased, well, somewhat anyway. Great wood and great bow making, and that's it for me. So that's what's new in December. I've got a few other things I've bought along the way. I just haven't got them out today. But yeah, anyway, wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and we'll talk in January. All the best. Bye-bye.